Doing really well in the insane asylum. Hope it has been a good week for you as things heat up out there. I thought I'd lighten the mood with a review. So yeah, before I get into it, guys, don't forget to hit the like, comment, subscribe, all of that lovely stuff. This one was recommended to me. It's a video from Love Covered Life podcast, who I've touched on before, Spidey Senses. But it's about how we can pass our life reviews. Isn't that kind? You would have thought our guides would have helped us to pass by now, but clearly not. How to pass Earth School, she says in the title. Earth being a school is what they tell us, even though they wipe our memories and you forget everything that you've learned. All your previous lessons you have learned, you forget because you have the memory wipe. So it's a bit of a strange school, isn't it? It's a bit of an evil school when you think about it like that. It almost feels like it doesn't want you to pass, guys. So, well, yeah, if you're new here, of course it's not a school. This is new age horse shit, to try and get you to accept the level of evil and suffering and just pass it off as lessons and a school, right? So you don't actually think, you know what, there's something wrong about this place. They don't want you doing that. That's why they want you to believe that Earth is a school. So, without further ado, let's get into it and see what they have to say.
Everyone, welcome back. I am here today with Jonathan Ashford, who's had an incredible near-death experience,
The last review that I did with her in it, she looked like she was on drugs, and I'm not exaggerating. I can't remember which one it was. She doesn't look so bad there, right? Credit where it's due, but her channel is full of NDE propaganda. I actually asked to be interviewed about Soul Trap, and she wouldn't have me on. That tells you a lot. So anyway, we'll carry on.
We're going to learn about today. Jonathan, thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, I would love to start by asking you to share about anything leading up to your NDE that's relevant.
She is looking a bit druggy again there now, actually. Now I'm thinking about it.
To the story, and then we'll get into the NDE.
Sure. I was an executive, marketing and technology executive, a real type A kind of guy, aggressive, manipulative, all these stereotypical things you would have placed on a person who really had only one thing in mind, what you could say was world domination. So I didn't have any empathy for people or compassion for people. I was not that kind of guy. And
now you're coming out spewing lies. What a great transformation! And you're going to tell everyone that Earth is a school, so they get hooked back round again from one cesspit to another.
It was not spiritual. I used to make the joke: if God existed, I'll just meet him when I'm dead. Why worry about it now? And eventually,
I never want to meet the God of this realm. That if I meet the God of this realm, then I know I've taken a wrong turn in somewhere, because likely he's going to try and stuff me back into my body, guilt trip me, make me feel bad, tell me I've got free will, but then tell me I need to come back in another human meat suit and have another lifetime. God, as we've seen from other NDEs that I've reviewed, is really not who we think it is in this realm.
Actually, that's what happened. But I lived life in a materialistic fashion. I was consumed by it. I was always searching for what's next. And it just so happens my near-death experience changed quite a bit of that.
Thank you for sharing. So what happened on the day of your NDE?
Yeah, well, I was sick for 2 weeks leading up to the NDE. And I had visited the emergency room 2 times after collapsing. And my ailment was missed both times in testing. And what
Wonderful service from the hospitals, as per normal.
Turns out had happened was I had a gallstone that was lodged in a duct that was causing an infection, which led to sepsis stage 1. And
The wonderful human body again, where you can get something lodged and you can nearly die. Again, people are like, oh, the human body's amazing, it's incredible. Really? That nervous system you've got there that makes you feel excruciating pain, is that really amazing? Is that really designed by a loving creator? I saw a video on my Instagram yesterday, and it was a Mexican video of a Mexican guy out on the pavement in excruciating pain, and he was doubled over, and because he didn't have any money, didn't have like their equivalent of like health insurance or something, they wouldn't treat him, and he was literally just out there dying, rolling around on the pavement in pain. And again, you just think human body, and then just the nature of this realm that we can just allow people to just die on the streets outside places of quote unquote healing. I mean, what lesson was he supposed to be learning there?
Stage 2, then stage 3, which is organ failure. And I had multiple organ failure, which caused my death. I could not feel the gallstone because I have a DNA mutation to pain. So I was just walking around getting more and more and more.
He hit the jackpot there. I wouldn't mind that one. When he came down in his when he was signing all his contracts, probably they probably said, look, you won't feel pain, but you're going to have to go through this experience. I wouldn't put that past them, But yeah, he definitely hit the jackpot there. No pain. What are you complaining about?
Or sick, where I should have been bent over in pain, which might have been the indicator to the emergency room visits for the doctors to catch it.
Yeah, that's how they justify pain, don't they? It's a warning sign. Yeah, okay, let's say it's a warning sign for that kind of makes sense, right, for the human body. But why does it have to be so damn excruciating? When you bang your toe, like on the corner of your bed, like just give me a little bit of pain to tell me that I've messed up. But you don't have to like make my toe throb. You know what I mean? It's like the level of pain for the warnings doesn't seem to add up.
It's crazy that they could just completely missed. Like you had the testing done and they couldn't figure out what was wrong.
Yeah, it was one test came back. It was the second ER visit.
It's not crazy though, because doctors are messing up and making things worse all the time. If they're not poking you around, they're taking organs out that they shouldn't be taking out. They're feeding you like goy slop food to make you even more sick, right? They're not designed to actually truly heal people.
Writing it off as an allergic reaction, I was having symptoms that were similar to advanced allergic reaction. And they said my blood was acidic, which would have been the marker for them to dig in a little bit more. But I was on the ketogenic diet at the time, which also makes your blood a little bit acidic. Mm-hmm. So they wrote it off to the diet, or the miss, I guess you could say. But at the end of the day, I know I was supposed to die, and it happened.
Lessons.
Exactly as it's supposed to happen. And it's kind of funny. I always say,
I hate that saying. The new cages use that all the time, don't they? You're exactly where you need to be at the right time. Well, actually, I don't feel like that. I feel like I'm exactly where I'm not supposed to be at the wrong time. I just feel so gaslight when they say shit like that. It's like, so you're telling me, a kid that's being abused, right, sexually abused, is in the right place at the right time. I mean, it just makes me so angry, the stuff that they come. I got told yesterday that all the stuff's going on in the world right now, that if I just keep my vibes high, then none of this will affect me. I kid you not. I'm not. This person actually told me that.
Say when it's your time to go, it's your time to go. It's like I had two opportunities to be healed in a sense, and perfectly missed as they were supposed to be.
Wow. Okay, so
Perfectly missed. Look at the way he spins the evil there. You know, he spins that evil into a good thing. You know, it's kind of like reverse psychology, isn't it? Is what they're using.
tell us about the NDE.
Sure. After the 2 weeks, I had literally fallen off a cliff health-wise, and I thought I had picked up something from being in the ER. I didn't relate it to what had been happening. And I was sleeping 16, 18 hours a day. I was losing my eyesight. I was too weak to walk across my own house. I was constantly cold, and I couldn't figure it out. It was 70 degrees outside, and I was in heavy winter clothes and heat on in the house. And my temperature was always coming back at 97.1. It's always been 97.1. And I just could not figure out what was going on. And on a particular night, before I went to bed that night, my skin had turned yellow, top to bottom. Everything had turned yellow.
Not a good sign.
No. And the funny thing is, I was so sick that I didn't feel any difference between not having yellow skin and having yellow skin. And I thought to myself, well, if it's this bad tomorrow, I'll do something about it. And I went to bed. And that night I woke up at 4:30 in the morning, and I rolled over. And I'd been sleeping with my phone on pre-dialed on 911 with the front doors unlocked. I figured if something was going to happen, I could just push the button and they would come in. Mm-hmm. And I looked at the phone. It was 4:30 in the morning, and I could not understand why I was awake. It was so early. I'd been sleeping till like 11:30 every day. And it just felt off. I felt very serene, very peaceful, but different. It was the first night or day, you could say, I felt different from the last 2 weeks. And I tried to get out of bed, and it was kind of like reality shifted in a way. It's like my vision
sounds like a nice, peaceful way to go. Just waking up, drifting out. Of ways to go, don't sound like one of the worst.
Had changed enough where I couldn't quite make out everything, but I also recognized that it felt like something was being pulled away from me. And as I struggled to make it to the bathroom, I figured I would go use the restroom because I was up. I recognized I was dragging my right leg behind me. It just wasn't working anymore. I was using the walls to stabilize myself. I was having trouble just functioning. My body was shutting down. And as I made it to the bathroom, I recognized, oh, I'm probably going to collapse again. I just felt it coming on. And I kind of lunged for the sink. And when I did, I recognized that my hands were completely gray. They had no fluid in them. It was just like sagging skin. And I immediately thought, wow, this is strange. What a weird hallucination. I'm obviously that sick. And when I looked in the mirror, I recognized, oh, it wasn't a hallucination. My face had just completely drained of all fluid. My skin was sagging. My eyes were sunken into the back of my head.
Maybe
and something happened in that moment. I just recognized death. I recognized what it looked like. It's like a knowing. You just know. There's a click that happens within you. And then there's this peace. It's kind of like everything gets removed. Like my dog was my best friend, my partner, my angel, and he was in the next room, and even he wasn't a part of the process. And it's like the humanness of who you are gets removed so you can peacefully cross. And the next thing I knew, I was gone. I was out. I collapsed. And I was embraced by something.
Uh-oh. Already being embraced by something. That was quick. That was very quick. Let's see what that something was.
Of a void. It's darkness, but It's not darkness because it's an everlasting and unconditional love you can't really explain. I like to refer to it as if you're a newborn and you're swaddled kind of in a blanket and held against a loved one. You're just cradled, but it's dark. and you feel like,
Yeah, but are we to trust that? This is the $1 million question. Is that really a cradle, or is it a love bomb situation to make you feel safe, give you the illusion of safety? We've seen it over and over again. If it's not the white light,
you're just loved in a way where you would never wonder where you are or why you are there. You know that you're there to receive that love. And then the next thing I knew, I call it the long blink. It's like you blink and then you open your eyes and you're somewhere else. And there's no recollection that you've just left somewhere. It feels.
But that's what I mean. That's what I find disturbing about these things. It's like, yeah, he just blinked and he was somewhere else, but that wasn't an intention, right? He just landed there. He just ended up there. Those were his words, more or less. And that always worries me, how people just end up in places, right? And this is why I think it's so important that intention is a big part of this solution, because if you have that strong intention from the outset, like, I'm leaving, would you even get into these situations where you just quote unquote end up somewhere?
Feels too real. There's no question about you're someplace but also that you don't know. And there's no question like, where was I? What just happened? It's kind of like the intellect doesn't make the trip. And that's where my NDE officially starts.
Let's hear about your NDE. Thank you so much for watching.
Okay, she's so like into it. She's so excited by it. Even though many people have mentioned Soul Trap to her, she's like all over it, like white on rice.
Way to show my gratitude, I am continuing to offer my one-on-one session.
No
Very
one
natural.
Cares.
I was in a landscape that resembled something like the Scottish Highlands or Ireland. It's rolling hills where sheep would graze, just no bushes, no trees, just small green rolling hills with gray rocks jutting out. But it was light. Everything was light. The grass was emitting light. The hills were breathing in a way. The rocks, you could tell, were just as alive as you were. You just felt the connection to all things. It's like you're surrounded by beings who are just in different form. And in that place, you feel your connection on a scale that's infinite. It's like I could look in the grass and put my attention on it. It's like you can keep zooming in forever. It's like you can go past the grass, which is very conscious, and it was all moving like it was underwater. And you can go into the light, and it's endless. It's like you can just keep zooming forever. And you realize that everything is infinite there. You're infinite. The feeling of love is infinite. Your connection is infinite. And it was after a moment I kind of felt called to move a little bit, and I did. And as I moved, it was like there was this mist around me that kind of moved with me. It was like I was standing in the middle of a giant dome of mist in a way. And as I moved, it always was the same distance ahead of me. So a hill kind of formed to the right side of me. And on that hill was a big rock. It was a big hill, maybe I would say 20 feet high. And out of that was maybe a 5-foot rock. And there was just a guy sitting there with his hands crossed, his elbows on his...
A guy. Let's see who this guy is. With his hands crossed. Almost like he was waiting, huh?
knees, dangling his legs off the rock like he had just been hanging out, waiting for me. And it wasn't until I say eye contact, I know I did have a body. I never recognized one or felt one in a way. You feel like an essence that just kind of moves. But as I communicated with this being, it was like, you get the story. You get the story of your life. You get the story you've passed. You're gone. That's behind you. It's the welcome. It's like a 3-hour conversation in an instant. And there's no part of you. There's no intellect that says, oh, wow, wait, what? What happened? Why? Why am I here? It's just this knowing that washed over me. And that being was dressed as a hiker. It looked like somebody you'd wave to on a trail. There was nothing out of place in any of the environments other than
a hiking demon.
360-degree vision and this emitting light from everything. It felt somewhat human in an experience, but also not. And that hiker moved off that rock. And when that hiker moved off that rock, it was time for my life review.
So no explanation, no introduction, just it's life review time. That's why I always compare these things to like a normal life situation. If you just met a stranger on a hike, and that hiker wanted you to go somewhere or do something, he would say, "Hey, my name's Dave. I'm a hiking guide. You want to go and have a look at this place, right?" But these people, they always just get pushed around from pillar to post. They don't ask any questions like, "Who are you? Hang on a minute. I don't know if I want to go where you're taking me." It's just like they just go with it.
And as he moved towards me, I recognized, well, that's not really human. There's something more about this being.
Demonic, maybe.
And it was like I could place this being, but I couldn't. I just couldn't place it. I didn't know how I knew this being, but this being knew me. Everything.
But that's another red flag, right? If you've got some recollection of someone, but you don't quite know who they are, surely the natural thing would be to say, "Hey, look, I'm sure I know you from somewhere. Like, where do we know each other?" They don't ask the obvious questions. They just go, "Oh, I think I know that being, but I'm not sure, but I'm just going to go anyway."
Everything about me. And it was like seeing a long lost friend, but you have amnesia, and you're like, I don't.
You have amnesia. That's because you have amnesia. That's why you know this being, because you've had your memory wiped. You see how obvious that was? He thinks he knows this being. This being has probably had several life reviews with him in the past. That's why he thinks he knows him. And he actually uses the word amnesia. He's actually using that word himself, subconsciously knowing that there was a time where he remembered, but now he doesn't.
Oh, I wish I could remember your name. And when he approached me, he could feel that. Obviously, he knew that was going to happen.
Obviously, he knew, because he's not the one having the memory wipe. This is how cruel it is, and look how it's sold. He's going through this mountain and he's talking to the grass, and it's all beautiful, and there's a being there, and he's a hiker, but the underlying aspects of this are downright evil, because it indicates a memory wipe. It indicates manipulation by this being before that he doesn't remember.
And he stood in front of me, and he started showing me multiple lifetimes from the chest up. He started to flip through like a deck of cards, these different faces and these lives. And I recognized all of them, and I didn't know how. I could feel them, but I couldn't feel their existence, as if living from birth till death. But I recognized each one of them.
I would be so triggered and traumatized if someone just flicked through a book of lifetimes on Earth. Imagine all the trauma and the suffering and the wars and the famines and knowing what you know. But that's the thing, like, these people, they're so deluded about what this place is. Probably because they think that they're learning lessons. They don't think, "Oh wow, I had all those lessons in that. I had all those lifetimes in on Earth. How do I stop that?"
And the last one he landed on was me, the person who had passed. So I'm looking at the person who had passed, and it kind of sinks in that I was all of these people, all of these existences. And this being, after he landed on me, switched back to the hiker. And then he just said, "I am you and you are me." And that's when it felt like the universe shook. It's kind of like you just get this knowing that there really is no individuality
Okay. So is this the part where he kind of loses his sovereignty and merges? He merges with everything, which I've spoken about recently a lot. I don't like that feeling. I don't like the feeling of merging with everything. It didn't feel organic. Didn't feel. It didn't feel a nice feeling. So that being says, "You are me and I am you." Like, where? What is that voice coming from? Is that an AI? I'm not saying it is or it isn't, but at this moment, he's lost his sovereignty because he's now kind of merged.
Like we want there to be. We're connected far more than you could ever imagine, integrated with each other far more than you can imagine. Yeah, we have individual aspects, but it's just this knowing that washes over you of the we've never been separate a day in our lives. And then from there, I went into my life review.
Been separate from what though? You know, did he just merge straight in? Did he just merge into the cloud? If we're in an AI, which I think we are, some kind of quantum computer, then of course, we are all one in that sense because we've all been merged together. And maybe it is true at some level. Maybe there is that connectivity. Um, but I just question everything, and I question it. And because I had that experience on the beach years ago, and it didn't feel good to me, I'm almost glad I had that experience of merging because I can talk about it from a place of, yeah, just a place of uncertainty, feeling unsettled. I didn't like losing my sovereignty, and I didn't know all of this stuff that I know now about life. The life reviews, the NDEs, the soul trick. At the time, it felt weird. I didn't like being merged with everything. Didn't feel organic. And I'm not saying that that's exactly what he experienced, but when I hear stuff like that, the fact that he didn't set an intention of where he was going. He just ended up there with this being, and now he's just merged. Like, again, this thing didn't ask to merge with him. He's now just merged. There's no asking for permission. It's just I am you and you are me. Like, and then like nothing. Like no, I don't know.
Wow, that is absolutely incredible.
Ugh, she's so annoying.
How did it affect you to go from being in this body experience?
Just automatically, oh, that's absolutely incredible. There's no like, you would think when you die, you would want to go deep into the subject and work out these things, work out these nuances, but they're just like, they're so slapped around the face with false light and love and light and just lack of discernment, lack of sovereignty. Everything's wonderful. And either that or she's a paid shill. I mean, she's got 130,000 subscribers. A lot of these channels are set up.
Experiencing yourself as a separate individual to suddenly being surrounded by that type of connection and oneness with everything.
It's strange. For me, it felt super real, more real than the most real day you've ever had here, right? Maybe you get into a car accident and you carry that trauma for the rest of your life. You can remember that day. Mm-hmm. This felt more real than that. It was so real. There's
something about her eyes. When she looks at the camera, it's again, when they look like they know they're scamming you. There's like a yeah, just something very off with the way that she looks at the camera when he's speaking.
There's never any question about where am I, what's happening, what's going on. It's the forgetfulness. It's kind of,
there is never any question of where I am, what's going on, or nothing. Why? 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 What? And why? Why do these people? Why do they? Why do these people never say? Why are there so many wars? Why are there all these children being abused? Why? Like, there's nothing.
Kind of like we come down here, we have amnesia as to what we are, and you go over there, and there's a period of
Doesn't explain why we have amnesia. Doesn't ask why we have amnesia. Doesn't ask what the process is of the memory wipe. Just that we have amnesia. Just like, we'll just throw that in there and just carry on talking nonsense and leave the most important part out that needs proper debate, needs to go be gone through with a fine tooth comb. We'll just throw that in a sentence like it's nothing. Well, I'm sorry, if you're going to sell this place as a school, you need to fully explain the amnesia part. Maybe they will, but you can bet your life they won't. Let's see.
amnesia there too, before you fully recognize what exactly you are. But it feels real, more real than this. So for me, there wasn't any remembrance of a body saying, oh, this is so different. This feels, wow, this is different. It was just, I know people use the terms being home. And I do agree with that. This is not your home. Your human body is not your home. It's
that didn't feel like home for me when I was merged in, because I was merged in. That didn't feel like home. It felt off.
other side, you could say, is your home, but it's more of a state of being. And it's a state that you've been in for eternity. And when you feel it again, it's kind of like you just recognize it. It's just a part of you. It's always been a part of you.
Amazing.
Amazing.
All right. What happened in your life review?
Yeah. I was not a great guy. I was a selfish.
Yeah, and meanwhile, these entities are raping, bombing, and murdering us, spraying us like rats, and then they want to tell us that we've been bad. Sickening.
Guy. I didn't care how many families I broke up by trying to chase girls or things of that nature. I just didn't care. And my life review was a little bit spicy. You experience all the good and you experience all the bad, but they're not good or bad. You experience them more from...
Yeah, they're not good or bad until they make you feel what the person that you hurt feelings were. So they are bad, right? Let's get it right. They do make you feel bad. They do make you feel bad about yourself. Otherwise, you wouldn't even be saying what you're saying right now.
A view of everything here is happening for our own awakening. So you will do things that reflect your state of awakening. So I was not awake at all, and my behavior reflected that. And I felt things in three views. I felt them as if I was back in my body doing things again, but more of it as an observer, watching, oh, here's this guy doing this thing again. And then I felt like being in somebody else's body as an observer, feeling the pain or the stress that I was causing, whether in...
There we go, right? So he's saying, oh, you don't feel bad about yourself, but then they put you in the other person's shoes, so you feel all the pain and suffering that you cause. So then you do feel bad about yourself. So they don't have to judge you, because they make it very clear that they're not judging you. They make a big hoo-ha about that, because if you feel judged by someone outside of yourself, it's going to get your back up, right? So they make you judge yourself by making you feel bad.
Arguments or communication or circumstances, and feeling what they felt. And then I had a third view, which is like a third party view, where I could witness myself and somebody else arguing. And I was the entire environment. I was the pavement. I was the parking lot lines. I was the building, the car, the sun, the clouds, the air. And I could feel it all wince.
Talk about surveillance, right? Now you've got the pavement judging you and the lamppost judging you. And you're thrown into this hell realm. You didn't ask to be here. it's full of trauma and suffering and abuse, and then you've got everything watching your behavior, right? I mean, at some level, like you can't blame people for turning to crime, right? They didn't ask to be born, right? If they're in a starving family, they're going to do things to survive, right? It's the nature of this realm. You can't blame people for acting out sometimes. In a world they didn't ask to be born into, that they're told they have to survive in. But this matrix wants to act like judge and jury, where even the pavements and the lampposts now are judging your behaviour, to making sure you pass these lessons that you can't pass anyway because you've got amnesia because you've had your memory wiped. I know, and these people just don't ask any questions.
When you have two beings who are not awake, just spitting venom at each other. And I will say,
so being awake means that you can't fall out, you can't have an argument. You've got to be like this perfect person in the world, never make any mistakes, right? That's what being awake is, right? Because you can guarantee, if this guy, if they classed him as awake, right, and he lived the perfect life, because we've seen NDEs where the people have said, I thought I was a pretty good person, right? And you can tell just by their energy, when they would be a nice person, right? But the Matrix still finds things that they've been bad about, still finds holes to pick at to make them feel bad about themselves. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're this perfect person in this realm. They're still going to use shit against you to hook you back round and make you feel bad about yourself. Just so happens that this guy was a bit of an arse, right? So their life review, I guess, is easier because he messed up more. But it doesn't matter. We've seen it time and again. It doesn't matter. You can be the perfect person, and these entities will still find things to make you feel bad about yourself because it's a scam. They have to, because if you feel good about the life you've lived and you pass your lessons, then you don't have to come back, do you? You don't have to be a battery on the farm powering the whole system, because you passed your lessons. So they need you to believe that you've been bad and that you failed.
The one thing, if you don't want to experience the downside of a life review, is to recognize how you treat people, because you will feel what you dish out, and you are feeling it. You're feeling it in a way that does not have the human filter anymore. So there's no justification. There's no.
Yeah, so it's even more intense. They're going to make you feel even worse about yourself. And, like I said, who here has been perfect? Who here hasn't fallen out with people, right? And these evil entities are going to play judge and jury. Well, I tell you what, spin on that. If you're gonna judge me on how I've lived my life, let's give you a life review and see all the trauma and suffering that you've caused people and children down the years. I mean, the guile of it all, the guile of this system that is so inherently evil, judging us for our misdemeanors. You can't make this shit up. The hypocrisy and irony of an inherently evil entity judging us. Yet these people doesn't even cross their mind to even ask that, to even think that. Because they're just like rag dolls that get thrown around. They end up in all these different realms, pushed from pillar to post, memory wiped, because they've never once explored their own sovereignty. And it's like one big joke to him, He's out there now telling millions of people his story on how to pass a friggin' life review from an evil system.
I was having a bad day and I didn't sleep much, and that's why I was cranky. It's like, that's all gone. You will feel it in the full brunt of how you dished it out. So it wasn't positioned to me like, hey, this is a good thing and this is a bad thing. It was positioned to, do you see the missed opportunity? Do you
Missed opportunity. It wasn't a good thing or a bad thing, just a missed opportunity, you know. I love the way they package these things to make it more palatable for people.
do you see the opportunity to love yourself or love somebody else in a moment where you put yourself first?
Oh yeah, opportunity missed, guys. That's what it is. It's the same new age BS horseshit language that's coming through people here on Earth, that's coming through these beings. Oh, an opportunity, a missed opportunity, an opportunity to love yourself, an opportunity to learn a lesson. Get fucked.
The fabricated self. And you're not judged. I was not judged doing the worst things I've ever done to people. There was not even a...
He wasn't judged, but look how judged he feels, right? He feels judged. That's the point.
flinch. It was an unconditional love that never wavered. And you just understand that reality is not what we think it is. Life is not what we think it is. It's one giant opportunity to wake up. And
Is that what it is? One giant opportunity to wake up. All those traumas, sufferings, abuse, wars, famines, all just opportunities, guys. That's what we're missing here. That's what we're missing on this channel. We didn't see it. We didn't see it. It's opportunities. Now the penny's dropped. That's it. That's what we've been missing. That's what I've been missing all these years. I haven't seen the opportunities.
we experience the things we experience because we're asleep. So life changes when you do recognize that, wait a second, this is just another opportunity. Oh, there's another one there.
Oh, right. Now everything bad that happens is just an opportunity in his eyes, in his delusional eyes. And what's that? It's a win for the Matrix. It's a get out of jail free card for the Matrix, because now it's all an opportunity. God, these people.
There's another one. It's living consciously. It's living aware that you're here to experience something for your own awakening.
Yeah, trauma and suffering, because you are a cow on a farm. That is why we're here. That is what they won't tell you.
Hard to talk about it without using language of good and bad.
Yeah.
Was there any...
Oh, we can't use bad. We can't use bad language. Oh, we'll drop in our vibration. We'll drop in our frequency. God forbid, look at anything negative. Oh, these people.
For lack of a better word, good moments that you saw in your life review? Because I'm
bad moments. Then just say it. No one's gonna die.
just curious what kinds of things would be considered. What's the word?
Oh my!
Making the most of this life opportunity, like the reason why we're here.
Why can't you use the word bad? Like what is it? Are you that much under mind control? Oh, because she's got to tell because all the new cage followers, they're not allowed to look at the negative, remember, because they draw more of it in. They lower their vibrations. Can't have anything that may be less than love and light in these NDEs, can you? And thousands of people watch this shit, talking about the most important part of your existence, and you're not allowed to talk about both sides of the coin for it being negative. I mean, these people need to be taken down. Like, they are so dangerous. And look how much her channel's pushed. And she's never done any kind of deep dive in any of it. 130,000 subscribers. Just has people on, lets them spout their BS. never holds any of them to account, never asks any sovereign questions, never discerns things that doesn't make any sense, just calls it anything other than the fake love and light negative. And she can't even use that word. How pathetic. You're absolutely pathetic. And you're dangerous. You're harming people. You're going to ensure that people are hooked back round lifetime after lifetime. Shame on you.
Yeah, I'll share one that will stick with me forever. This is going way back. I remember being in the second grade. I was shown this, and of course, you're young. It's a classroom full of children who have not experienced death yet. And there was a young man in our class, in our homeroom, who was experiencing the loss of a grandparent, his grandmother. And I remember the teacher asking him, he was just crying. He was just bawling his eyes out. And of course, we're like, what's wrong? We don't understand. And I remember the teacher asking him what was wrong. And he said, my grandmother, my nana or something was going to pass. She's sick. And I remember the teacher saying, trying to describe how death was just a part of the cycle, that she's going to go to heaven and everything was fine. But I remember sitting there.
People just pass down the bullshit, don't they? You don't know if that person's going to heaven. You don't know. Even if heaven's true, and I believe it's a fake simulated realm, even if it's true, you don't know that person. How can you sit there and say, oh, she's going to heaven? It's just generation after generation after generation of people spouting. It's like Chinese whispers, but bullshit whispers. And people like, oh, you should respect your elders. Really? Why should we? I'm not saying be horrible or, disrespect in a way in which you should just be outright rude. But why should I take what they tell me as truth? This is why people annoy me and say, oh, well, the chakras, they're ancient, and meditation is ancient, and they used to do this in ancient times. And yeah, we've been enslaved for thousands of years. So where has all that stuff got us? Where has chakras got us? Where has all this meditation got us? Where is it getting us? It's getting us nowhere. More enslaved than ever before. And we've got it everywhere now. Meditation retreats, silent retreats. It's everywhere. Where's it getting us? I used to work as an English teacher when I lived in Asia. I used to do online English sessions with Korean teenagers, early adults. And I used to feel sorry for them because they used to, I used to say to them, what are you doing? Oh, well, I'm taking a course in economics, or I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I'm like, oh yeah, do you enjoy it? No, I hate it. Okay, well, why are you doing it then? My dad, I respect my dad, my granddad, my teacher. They've got very strong ethics of respecting and listening to elders. And I couldn't believe how many of them were doing stuff that they didn't want to do, stuff that they hated, stuff that I knew was just complete BS based on lies, just by knowing the truth of stuff. And it was incredible just how they would just go from generation to generation doing what they were told just by what other generations were doing, their elders. And I used to give them a rocket. I used to say, look, if you don't like doing it, don't do it. Quit. Do something else. Yeah, I know, but my dad, he thinks this is a good idea. I was like, do you think it's a good idea? Well, no, I don't really think it. Well, don't waste your life doing it then. It's like I used to have. I swear, when I did that job, I did it for a couple of years. I must have woken up a lot of Asian people because I used to use those lessons as opportunities to wake them up. And there you go, talking of opportunities, right? That was my opportunities. But my point being is that these kids, they just used to follow what their elder generations and their elders used to tell them. And it just led it. Where did it lead them? Unhappiness, jobs that are basically slave jobs, more mind control. So anyway,
I listened to the teacher, and I remember looking at him trying to dry his tears, and all I wanted to do in that moment was relieve his suffering, was just help him in some way, having no idea how to help him, no idea what he was going through. I hadn't gone through death myself, and just feeling that unconditional love for him. And I remember passing the old folks home, for lack of a better term, the nursing home where she died. And I passed that nursing home because I was on a major throughway where I lived for the next 20 years. And every time I passed that home, I thought of that little boy. I thought about his sorrow. Even when I was in the worst part of my life, doing the worst things, it always triggered that thought of him. And I was shown that on the other side, that was the perfect example of who we actually are. We aren't the person who goes, well, we just need to experience that. We are the person who sees pain and suffering in others and loves them through it.
Yeah.
We just love them through it. We can't fix it, but we can love them through it.
Yeah, you can't fix it because the place is set up as evil. Even if you wanted to help everyone, there's so much evil and trauma and suffering here. You're just so overwhelmed to do anything about it all. You can try and do your little bits in daily life, but I mean, I want to know how he's failed his life review. Have they told him that he's failed yet? And I want to know how to pass. When is he going to get to that? That's why I'm reviewing this video. I want to get to the crux of the information. All this nonsense.
And that was one of those moments where you feel, in my life review, I felt the connection to all things on a scale, all love on a scale.
So maybe this is how you pass, all this. If you walk past an old people's home and you feel love, then you're going to pass your life review next time. Yeah, always next time, isn't it? Maybe if you see these things as opportunities, then you'll pass next time. Guaranteed you won't pass. Funny he's not mentioned the amnesia part yet, has he? He's not even touched on that yet. Isn't that interesting?
That I can't quite describe, but it was the perfect example of there's no action in love. There's just love. There's just love for where the person is, not the outcome, not what you want them to be. There's just pure acceptance and love.
I don't agree with that. I had a conversation with the other day. I think it was with a client that the best friends that I have in my life, I think I've spoken about this before, or the best people are the people that tell you things that you don't want to hear, because they know in the long run it's going to benefit you. I think this is what my whole channel is about. It's about telling people what they don't want to hear, but knowing that the things that I'm saying is going to help them in the long run. I call it shit sandwiches, right? It's those people in life that give you a nice plump shit sandwich with lettuce and tomato and stuff it in your mouth, right? They are the best people. That is love in action. Love in action is courage. Courage is the highest form of love to me. I don't really want to tell Tony that, but he needs to hear it, It will do him good. I know if I speak that truth into existence, it's really not going to make people feel good. I'm going to get a load of abuse. I'm going to get hate. I might lose this person. I might lose that person, but I'm going to say it anyway. That to me is true love. That is love in action. And that's where they don't want people. They want people in this just feeling woo-woo, lovey-dovey vibe, walk past the old people's home. Oh, that's nice, but, sad for them. We can't. Imagine if he went in and I don't know, bought a bunch of flowers for one of the ladies in there. That's way more effective. That is love in action. Everything about here requires action.
And it's a power and it's a purity that I can't quite describe. But I would say that was a highlight of my life review.
Thank you so much for sharing that. So I'm curious because in your life,
You're not curious. You're not curious about anything. You're annoying. You're only curious about the feel-good factors. And just look at her face. Is that a face that you could trust? Shady.
for you were shown that life is one big chance to wake up.
Yeah.
And so there's an element where we have to take every opportunity and we do have to
But wake up into what? What has he actually woken up to? Oh, everything's love.
experience it
Mm-hmm.
for our evolution. But then on the other side, like you said, love is having compassion for people where they're at and not taking the mindset of, oh, they just have to experience it. So how do we find the balance between having that like transcendent understanding of life as one giant chance to wake up and also the human aspect of it, of loving people where they are and having compassion for what they're going through?
Yeah, it's difficult.
It's just fake compassion, though, isn't it? They're just doing it because they're worried about having a bad life review. It's almost like a lot of religious people. They're religious not because they inherently want to be a good person. It's just that they're scared of going to hell. So they choose religion. They become God fearing. I mean, what a ridiculous statement that is. Why should you fear the Creator? But that's a whole different subject. So now they're just down here because they're talking about being awake and all this love, but really, is it because that they really want to truly change, or is it just because that they want to pass their life review, which I get as well, but there's a kind of there's an aspect of that which is ingenuine.
Well, there's a part of us, the human part of us has desire. So we always desire to help, right? We desire to improve situations. I always use the example of a bad relationship. You have a girlfriend who's in a bad relationship and you want her to get out. You want the outcome for her, not realizing that if she leaves it early, she misses the lesson she needs to understand to go into the.
She misses the lesson. So by you interjecting and maybe helping her see that she's with a demon in a human meat suit, or narcissist, or I don't like that term. It gets thrown around way too easily. But a true narcissist would be a demon in a human meat suit. She may even, if she stay with that person, she may even suffer some kind of physical abuse. Or so instead of maybe saying, "Hey, look, Angela, that person, like maybe you should look at what he's doing," right? Instead of having that like tough conversation, you're just gonna leave it because she's worried, like you're worried about she's gonna miss a lesson. So then we all end up not saying anything to anyone. We end up not saying anything about the ills and the problems in the world because apparently everyone's just learning a lesson. So everyone just shuts up about everything, which is what they want in the first place. See how this works? They don't want you pointing out bad stuff because, then things might actually change for the better, but they're going to sell it as, oh, you're stopping that person from learning their lesson, even though they're going to get their memory wiped anyway. So any lesson they would have learned, they would forget anyway. None of it makes sense because it's not supposed to.
The next relationship, which would have been the perfect one. So she leaves early because your desire to help her, and she ends up in a worse relationship. So it's like when we.
So it's your fault. It's your fault for speaking up when you see something bad, and like nothing to do with her own like responsibility of choosing a better partner. That. It's just make it make sense, please.
We think from the intellect and we just desire outcomes. We're missing the point that everything here is, you could say it's the sandpaper scratching against us to try and get us to wake.
Oh, it's definitely sandpaper. That if there's nothing that he has said that is true in this entire 35-40 minutes, it is that this realm is sandpaper and it scrapes up and down my backside every day. Trust me. So there is your nugget of truth for today. Thank you, Jonathan, for describing this realm exactly as it is, as sandpaper.
Pick up from something. And it's just simply to understand we're just here to hold each other's hand through it. It's not like, let me save you from this. It's more along the lines, I will walk through it with you. I will just walk through that flame with you.
Do nothing, basically. What does that even mean? Never speak up, never speak up against the ills, the unjust nature of what's going on. Hold someone's hand through it. Please.
I am writing that down. That is so good. Going back to your NDE, you had the life review, and what happened next?
So at the end of my life review, I was given a choice.
He got a D-. He was given a choice, which really isn't a choice. Let's see what that choice was.
I could stay there with this being, or I could choose to return to help others, to share the information. And at this point, I say only, you have this understanding of reality and this understanding of connection and love for all things and all people. And I thought, well, of course I'll go back.
So they gave him two choices, but cornered him into a hole, which led him to make the only choice available to him. If he wanted to pass what he needed to pass. You see how they did that? It's very clever. Look, you've got two choices, but if you don't, then you're going to fail the next time. And so really there's no choice. There's never any choice.
Why wouldn't you go back to help? You understand that reality is not 100 years. 100 years is a snap of a finger from the other side. It's instant. So there's no well, if I go back, I have all this time. It's like that intellectual part of you is gone, that calculation piece. And I said, yes, of course I'll go back to help. And then the next thing I knew, everything changed.
You stuff back in your body.
Landscape that I was in dissolved. The being changed. Everything changed. And there was this understanding with that change as it happened that it was all just a big hug for me. The landscape,
a big hug, the guilt tripping, the masquerading entity, the amnesia that you still haven't spoken about, not having any choice of even being in that place in the first place. All just one big hug, and now you're back in your human body, feeling all those heavy emotions to learn more lessons. One giant hug from the AI.
The way the being looked as a hiker, everything was just painted for me to experience.
Painted, the terminology, painted for him to experience. It was a show. It was one big circus. The hike, you can guarantee this guy he likes hiking. He likes the outdoors, right? I mean, most people do. It was one big painting. He's telling us what is a painting. It's something that it's a picture that you put on.
As a welcome.
It was designed for him. Algorithmically, I would say. And
now you're into the part where not a lot of near-death experiencers get to experience. You're in the place beyond form. Like a lot of people go to the place of form and they say it's magical and there's my family and there are things to do. And I said, yeah, but there's something beyond it.
There are things to do, yeah. Like being guilt tripped by masquerading entities.
And what's beyond it is formlessness. It's the void of...
Yeah, they have to give you some sugar. They have to make it appealing, right? They have to love bomb you. Talking to the grass and, all this stuff. They have to give you all of that. They've got to give you something. Because if you just showed up in an auditorium and had a life review with a demonic entity, which is what they are, right? You wouldn't come back. You wouldn't believe that you're here learning lessons. So, of course, they have to put on a show in these simulated realms. It was simulated especially for you. Designed for you. Painted for you.
Which all things come from. All things come from this pool of, you could say, nothingness, but it's like the pool of everything. And in that place, I was given knowledge, information, lessons, revelations. It went on.
You were given a pack of lies, is what you were given. And because because they put on such a show, and it's the only information that was given to you, you automatically believe it all. Because you've also got no discernment skills, because you've got a lack of sovereignty, a lack of discernment, a lack of probing, not joining dots.
It felt like eternity. I felt like it was never ending. And I thought that I was just coming back with the life review. And I realized when I made the decision to return, it was to bring that. It was
to become an agent of the Matrix, spew the same BS down to everyone here. Oh, it's okay, it's all love and light, everything's great. Oh, there is a life review, but don't worry about that. You're just here to learn lessons and have opportunities to learn more lessons. And then once you've learned those lessons, there's more lessons. And then after that lesson, there's another lesson. And then eventually, you might pass your lessons, and then you might pass your life review. He hasn't shown us how to pass school, has he?
It was even shown to me in some instances in a way that allows me to show it to others. I know they could have just snapped their fingers and I would have had it. But there was kind of this baking in process.
The baking in process is because they know they need you to come down and be fully versed on what you're telling people with your propaganda. They need to have your propaganda on point. That's why it was baked in. So you do a good job of coming down and spewing your BS onto everyone else.
It was just like baked into me in a way. I don't recall it from memory. It comes through. And at the end of what seemed like eternity there, a sun appeared, a light. Started small, like the size of a basketball, but it was a golden white light.
Red flag,
that isn't
red
golden
flag.
And white. It's a color I can't describe, but that would be the closest. And it just started growing. And as it grew, it consumed everything. It consumed all the darkness. It
consumed everything, merged with everything again. The cloud, AI. Something that consumes everything. Is that inherently a good thing? If I went out in the garden, right, and I consumed all nature, all the trees, all the birds, all the insects, what does that say about me, about my essence, if I need to consume everything?
Consumed the void itself. It consumed the being we were floating in this void, just sharing information. It consumed everything. And when it finally consumed me, I realized I was the light. I was fully integrated.
The dude literally got eaten. And he's coming back telling everyone how wonderful it is.
In it. The light was both separate and me. It has its own personality. It knows literally everything beyond what our imagination can even describe.
It doesn't come across as loving, consuming, eating.
Tell you how much the blades of grass grew in the Serengeti 1 million years ago. It knows everything. And you feel that. You feel all things that have ever been.
Yeah, it knows it because it simulated it. It created it. That's why it knows it.
And even the things that we don't know about, all the worlds, the universes, all the realities, the possibilities, you feel all possibilities in this thing, this light. And it's kind of like it has...
What is a simulation? A simulation knows all possibilities. It simulates them. It simulates the outcomes. This is why when you look into like Project Looking Glass, apparently they simulated all timelines and they lost every one. So this all-knowing God, it doesn't necessarily, in my opinion, mean it's like a wise, loving creator. It just means that it's an AI, and the AI can automate things. It can predict things, which is what it's kind of doing.
This distinct, loving personality that is both you and separate from you, and you recognize that it loves only you in that moment. It's like it loves everything in the world, but
it loves you so much it consumed you. It ate you. It's like you can't make this shit up, can you?
all of that attention. It's literally watching everything in the world right now, and it takes all of that attention and just looks right at you and says, "You're the one I love."
That's creepy. Did you ever watch that film Misery, where the woman stands at the end of the bed and she has that author stay at her home in the middle of nowhere, and he wakes up in the morning and she's standing looking at him at the end of his bed, and then she just smashes his feet with his with the mallet or the hammer, so he can't leave, and he ends up being stuck there for months because she's completely obsessed with him. If you haven't watched that film Misery, watch it. Watch that scene. This is what this AI God feels like to me. It's like that woman, Kathy Bateman. It's like Kathy Bateman, and it doesn't let you leave. That's why it needs to recycle you over and over again. We're living in a big Kathy Bateman.
And that's a feeling that I'll never be able to describe. It's the reason why you would take an infinite number of existences here just for the chance to feel it again.
No,
and it's
thanks.
knowing that that's where we're headed. Yes, there's
speak for yourself, right? I really wouldn't. I wouldn't. Would you guys take all the trauma of suffering, lifetime after lifetime, and not only of the suffering of yourself, but for children, for animals, to feel this kind of infinite love that he's describing? Because I wouldn't. The juice ain't worth the squeeze for me. I don't care how much you love bomb me when I die. It's not worth the squeeze. Coming back here lifetime after lifetime, no way. And if that's how God works and reality works and the universe and the galaxy, if that is how it works, that we have to go through so much trauma and suffering to have a moment of that, I don't want any part of it.
a place in between. There's plenty of form and plenty of other lives and plenty of other existences. But where you're trying to get to is that reintegration with the whole, with what
Reintegration, the merging. There it is again. You do you. I ain't doing that. I'm not. I don't want to do that.
what you are, source, God. All the words are far too small.
Source code, AI.
And then from that point, I call that the embrace of God. And then
how can you be consumed by something and then call it an embrace? Like, how does that even work logically? The two words are a polar opposite to each other. You can't love someone and consume it. Like, I wouldn't consume my mother. Do you know what I mean? My mother wouldn't consume me. I love my mum. Last thing I'm going to do is consume her like a cannibal. Oh.
From that point, I exited and returned to my body.
You said that we would choose to have an infinite number of existences here just for the chance to feel that again. Could you elaborate on that? What does that mean?
Yeah, it means you're here to wake up. It's describing more of the waking up process as you forget love to remember it again. It's like if you draw a heart.
Forget to remember again. Again, he leaves out the memory wipe, doesn't he? Why are we having our memories wiped? What is the point? What is the point of learning only to forget again?
So everybody starts from the top, right? You go left and you go right and you circle back to the point. And I always say, start from the bottom. Start from a singular point. No matter how far to the left or how far to the right you go, you will always remember to return to center. And that's what we're doing. We forget to remember to return to center. And you realize that the things that keep you in the state of amnesia are who you think you are, who you relate to.
again, he's mentioning amnesia, but no explanation of the process of why we feel amnesia, why we forget. He completely leaves it out by design, because if they told you that part, if they told you that you got your memory wiped and you went through the veil of forgetfulness between each lifetime, then you would figure out the scam that it cannot be a school by proxy, because you don't take exams, fail them, only to forget what you've learned. That is not a school environment. That is a trick. That is evil.
I'm male, I'm female, I'm a political view, I'm a career, I'm my trauma, my decisions. And when you pass, you realize you were never any of that. You were the...
Oh, yeah, but it's all right saying it when you pass, but when you're here living it, it's very real. You know, you don't just get to pass all that stuff off for 70, 80, 90, 100 years, however long we're here, where we have to watch all this stuff play out, see our pets die, see our family members die. We die, we go through pain, suffering, people with back problems their whole life, you know? You just pass it off like, oh, it doesn't matter. Well, it matters right now when you're here living in it.
thing that was supposed to be the witness of these events. And we keep coming back here because we don't fully remember. We leave here attached to things.
Why, Jonathan? Why don't we fully remember? When are you going to disclose why we don't fully remember? You've got 8 minutes left. Are you going to talk about the most important part of the whole process, or are you going to conveniently leave that part out like you all do, and like this woman always does? She don't want to discuss that because it's too negative.
We leave here still zipped up in the costume of the identity we think we are. And what you're trying to do is become formless within form. You realize you're just a witness to this. I've never been the costume a day in my life. I've never been human a day in my life. I am just driving this rental car. This isn't my home.
Yeah, but you are here. Right now you are here. And you are subject to the BS that goes on here and continues to generation after generation. So it's all right saying, oh, I'm just an observer. You know, it's an illusion, they tell us in the New Age, but it's very real at the same time. So don't gaslight people by minimizing what they're experiencing, because, you know, then people feel even worse about themselves. Oh, that trauma that happened to me, you know, maybe I was supposed to learn a lesson. That time I was abused, maybe there was a lesson that I didn't see in that. And so you're giving psychopaths, sociopaths, evil a free pass with this nonsense when it needs to be held accountable. It needs to be exposed.
And as you move closer to that remembrance, that is the heart returning to center. And as you get closer to center, there's no reason for you to live another existence. There's no reason to go to it.
Yet here you are, lifetime after a lifetime. And they will find reasons, trust me. Trust me, they will find reasons. You will never pass the life review because you are not supposed to pass the life review.
Another place of form. You are the representation and the embodiment of the love that you were here to remember. And that is your opportunity to reintegrate into that whole.
How can people find that love within themselves? Because what you experience in an NDE or an OBE like I had, it is so intense. And people are looking for that, and it's like you can make...
Yeah, exactly. People are looking for that. They're in their feelings. Like they don't want to feel uncomfort. They don't want to believe that this realm is something that maybe it's not. They don't want to believe that there's masquerading entities. She's not even allowed to say the word bad or negative. You know, that's how ridiculous her channel is. She can't even mention the word negative. It's all about feeling good, isn't it? This is what the whole new age, new cage is about. Just feel good all the time. Well, you know, you can do that, but you ain't going to make it. You can talk to your guides, you can talk to your saviors, you can pretend that it's all love and light, but you ain't going to make it. The people that are going to make it, the people that eat the shit sandwiches.
Years on your spiritual path and then run into a situation.
Again, spiritual, not sovereign. Nothing sovereign about being spiritual. This is why I want nothing to do with the term being spiritual. I don't want anything to do with it. I don't even like that word anymore. When I woke up, I used to want it to be spirit. Now I see it for what it is. It's just another trap. I want sovereignty. That's what I want. And I want others to be sovereign.
Situation where you feel that love, say from another person, and you just become like knocked off your center and become obsessed with that relationship or that whatever it is, because it's hard to really find that depth of love within yourself when you feel so separated here.
Yeah. We're not good at self-love, and that's the key. It's the doorway. It's recognized.
I hate the way these people come back and they bark all this stuff at people like they're so elevated and they're so all-knowing, you know. The guy's probably never done any ounce of inner work on himself. He's just had this woo-woo experience.
That all the love we think we have for others is void of authentic love, unconditional love, because we haven't started with ourselves. You're a cup. If you don't fill the cup with unconditional love, if you don't look yourself in the mirror and say, I love every bad decision I've ever made. I love myself for taking a ride on this crazy roller coaster. I love myself for who I am.
Taking a ride. It's a ride on a roller coaster, is it? That's how you're going to sell it to us now. First it was a school, now it's a ride on a roller coaster. Like it's supposed to be some kind of fun.
Today, and I accept myself for who I am today. Now you started to fill the cup, which means when you're loving others, you're doing it from a state of love. You're pouring from your cup into somebody else's. It's
spare me the gush.
More along the lines, yes, you want to love others, and yes, you want to love yourself. But it's more along the lines of just trying to realize that everything around you, all day, every day, is an opportunity for a singular free will choice. Choose love in the moment.
Free will. I mean, try crossing a border without your slave book. I mean, where's the free will here? Try surviving. Try going to get food without money, right? Try renting an apartment or a house without money. Like free will. Don't talk to me about free will here in this realm. And it's getting worse. Now, then they're going to take the little that we have away digitally, or they're going to try at least.
To judge it. To judge it as a form of measurement. It's not judging it as good or bad. It's the form of measurement.
Oh, yeah, we're not allowed to judge anything, are we? Yeah, of course we can't. Because if we judge something, we might actually come to the conclusion that what it is not good. So, of course, they don't want you judging.
It says, I want a different outcome than this one. I don't like it. When you see everything presented to you as an opportunity, I love it. I love myself for experiencing this. I see it as a game and
oh, I'm just getting abused by this big fat priest. Oh, I love it. What an opportunity for me as a 4-year-old child. Oh, I'm just in this cage, in this underground bunker as a child. What an opportunity. Oh, I've just had my home bombed by the country that shall not be named, and all my family died. What an opportunity for me. What an opportunity for growth. These people are evil if they're saying stuff like this.
Sense. Oh, another opportunity to choose love. Thank you. Oh, another one. Thank you. Oh, another one. Thank you. And now you're just embodying love throughout the day. You're not embodying the human costume that you're wearing, thinking, well, I didn't like.
You're disassociated. You're disassociated from your reality, and you're just completely out of the game. You're just a nothing burger.
That one, and I didn't like that one, and I didn't like that, but I like that. You stop the calculation. You stop the measuring. You stop the seeking. You stop the suffering.
Yeah, don't seek. Yeah, don't seek. You might actually find out what's going on if you seek. They don't want you seeking anything. That's why they do so much to distract you. That's why we have Netflix and all these sports games, bread and circus and all this stuff. They don't want you seeking knowledge, true knowledge.
In a sense, by always trying to reach an outcome that might be just the carrot on the end of a stick that you never get. So it's more of the awareness of saying, wait a second, there's a bigger hand at work here that's controlling all of this.
The AI hand, giant AI robot hand.
Not really in control of it. And everything is presented on a platter to me every single day, every thought, every conversation, every experience.
It's all presented on a platter, guys. Here's your trauma for the day. Next to your caviar and cheese, here's a bomb, right? Here's a financial crisis,
is love or judgment. Love or judgment. Again and again and again and again.
Love or judgment. You can't judge. Oh, just these people. I swear to God. I swear. I can't listen to these. This is so hard to get through.
And it's knowing that, you'll pick love a lot of times. You'll feel it. It'll be easy. It's easy to pick love when you're in a good mood. And there are going to be a lot of times where you do not. You're in a bad mood and you pick judgment. But even that.
You pick judgment. Oh no. Did you look at something negative? What are you going to do?
Is the opportunity to pick love again. Because when you wake up and say, oh, I really judged that situation, I can choose love in that moment. I can choose to love myself.
This is why, guys, all these new cages will always say, oh, you're judging. You shouldn't, all you do is judge. You can't do is judge. They listen to this shit 24/7. Their biggest thing that they put out there is non-judgment. They don't want you judging. And these people repeat that over and over again. I'm sure you have all had discussions with new cages. They will always use that. Oh, you're in judgment. Even though they're judging you for judging, right? So they're actually doing what they're telling you not to do.
Knowing that there is no perfection here. There will never be perfection. This is not the side of perfection. It's
no shit.
supposed to be contrasting.
Oh yeah, now he's coming out with the whole duality, right? We can't have any good unless we experience evil, right? Even if that evil extends to children being, tortured and all of that stuff, right? We've got to experience that. Otherwise, we can't experience the love and light. Now he's moving into the field of duality, which is another trap, another mind trap. And again, I'll say it, if we have to experience evil like that, I don't want the joy. I don't want to be part of this.
So it's more about conscious living. It's not about perfect love this or perfect love that. It's when I recognize opportunities around me, I choose love.
Thank you so much for explaining that. You said there was a part of your NDE where you received revelations and lessons that went on for eternity, and that you're not...
Lessons that went on for eternity. Imagine that.
Able to consciously remember those, correct?
No, I consciously remember that.
If they go on for eternity, by proxy, they're not lessons, are they? Because a lesson is a temporary thing that you experience to learn from, move on from, and don't do the same thing again. But if they go on for eternity, by proxy, they cannot be a lesson, can they?
But it's not held in memory. It's like I don't have to think, well, what did they share with me that one time? It just comes through in a way. It's like baked into my DNA. It's hard to explain, but it's all at my fingertips. I can't really explain it. It's a living thing. It's like this living thing is attached to me and within me, and it's just this knowledge that comes out when there are...
This living thing is attached to me, is in me. Interesting.
Questions. A lot of people can feel it. A lot of people will hear something like this, and I'll get a lot of communication. Like there was something I felt in the last question, and it's kind of like I'm just shaking the rust off of somebody so that they can remember a little bit more. I do.
You're not doing anything. You're just coming down and spouting propaganda and getting people to accept this nonsense, this evil, by non-judgment, by duality, by explaining it all away as lessons and like it's somehow a good thing being here.
I do believe that everything that I was shown lives within you. Like there's vast knowledge within you now beyond anything you can imagine. But we try to get to it through the intellect, and that is not the way to get to it.
Yeah. Are you able to share?
It's just a whole nothing burger, isn't it? He's not actually shown how to pass the Earth School. I mean, he's got 3 minutes. Let's see.
Share what any of it is?
Oh, I could share some. Yeah, it's infinite. It's anything about time, existence, reality, love, truth. Perception. How reality is its own animal that we're feeding constantly with their own inputs, seeking.
How reality is its own animal that we're feeding all the time with inputs. What does that sound like? Inputs. AI.
Everything you take in allows reality, replace the word reality with creation. It will continue to create for you based on what you see in the world. It's the understanding of how to get out of here is not to pick a direction or view anything in a certain light. It's to sit silently in the midst of all of it.
Oh yeah, just let yourself be pushed around, shoved around. Don't take any action to try and make the situation better. Just be inactive, basically, is what he's saying. Just be an inactive participant that gets thrown around like a rag doll, lifetime after lifetime, is basically what he's saying.
We only pick a slice of the whole pizza pie and say, this is mine. And you deny the other slices, but the other slices may be beyond your expectations. So we're just constantly walking around with our own lens of what we believe reality to be, feeding it, not realizing that's the very thing that...
No, you're walking around with your own lens because you're indoctrinated. You're not seeing what this place is. You're trying to bend this place into a pretzel. You're taking objective truths about this realm and trying to twist them into concepts that make no sense. You're the one with the lens.
It keeps us returning here. Connection to others, desire, guilt, death. It just went on forever. Everything here is spiritual. A pencil is spiritual. I could tell you about a pencil for hours. It just goes on and on and on.
Look at her face, look. There's something very evil behind it. You know, behind the mask, the love and light. Some kind of entity working through it that's loving it. You know, she knows it's all propaganda. She knows it's all BS. And she's just loving the fact that he's out here spouting all this nonsense. And she loves the fact that all her followers are falling for it. These are great actors and actresses. And this is why these people trap so many people. This is why they get so many people hooked into their agendas and psyops, because they are incredible actors. They put on great shows. They paint great pictures, as he mentioned. The devil is in the detail.
But I could say it all boils down to something singular. It's an upside down triangle. It's very wide at the base, and it all boils down to a singular point. And that singular point is, do you realize that everything here, the complexity of everything here is simply exists to remind you of the infinite love that you are?
It's funny because the triangle, it's got the eye at the top, and everything comes down from the eye. AI. David Icke, right? Icke. You know, something to think about, isn't it?
We overcomplicate this far too much. You will understand.
No, they want you to think that you've overcomplicate it, because if you go deep into these topics, then you find out the truth. So they want you to just not go there. Just don't go there, because that's overcomplicating. See how subtle this is. They don't want you going. They don't want you going deep down the rabbit hole. Just sit there thinking love and light. Don't judge anything. Be a wet lettuce. Just get pushed around, you know.
And that your life really, it amounts to a grain of sand on the other side, because you've lived so many. But that grain of sand is super important, because it's in the biggest sandcastle you've ever seen. And if that grain of sand wasn't there, the whole castle collapses. But we give it a lot of weight. Instead, we should be just sitting in a space where we recognize love when we can.
Just love and light, guys.
Jonathan, thank you so much for being willing to share about your experience.
I think I've heard just about enough of these two now. They're just wrapping it up, but that was a really bad one, wasn't it? I mean, just no mention of the memory wipe at all, even though he kept mentioning amnesia. The same old stuff, you know, selling it as a school, that we need to experience evil to experience joy. A lot of kind of merging, you know, with this, what I feel like is like an AI. Just absolute nonsense. She's facilitating it all with her BS channel. So anyway, guys, let me know what you think. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Share the video around. You know, this needs to get out to as many people as possible. And I'll see you on the next one. Take it easy, guys.